All right, ready to roll on a Wednesday. Good to have everybody with us. We got a lot of ground to cover, but we are all Lannisters. We settle all our debts. We have a brewing issue here at the station that requires a little bit of time to start the show today. It is Rico Beard versus Jim Costa, or maybe to put it in a better term, Jim Costa versus Spartan Nation. Rico, I would like you to begin this because you committed a party foul.
I did.
You angrily texted another host during their show. His take was so patronizing. It was so asinine. You felt a need to disrupt his show.
You know what? I did, and I apologized to him afterwards and said I committed a cardinal sin. I text you and had a conversation during your show. I apologize for that. I do not apologize for what I said to you, though. What I said to you, I believe wholeheartedly. So I'm sitting around, I'm in class, and I'm listening to their show as my students are working on their projects.
It beats what Abdul Carter was listening to.
All right. Abdul Tucker. All right, so Cookies is talking about expectations for Jonathan Smith at Michigan State. And it was Cookies and John and Gov, and Cookies was like, well, you should be Iowa football, 8-4, and, occasionally you may actually get a shot at the playoffs, but just 8-4 is good enough for you. Be Iowa football. That's where they should be. And I'm waiting for somebody else to chime in, and they're like, yeah, Iowa's a good comp. And I'm like, Iowa is not a good comp. What? Iowa? I'm like, that was the most condescending pat on the head I've ever heard from you, Cookies. He's like, how was it a pat on the head? I'm like, why not the next Indiana? Why can't they be the next Indiana? That's not right. You can't be Indiana. Why not? Indiana turned this thing around in 2 years.
Can you be Vanderbilt?
Right. There's so many teams that with the portal and the right, going after the right players and spending the right amount of money, you don't have to sit there and just be slightly above average and that's good for you. I'm like, no, that is not good. Like, Cookies, seriously. You are so wrong on this. I'm like, they could easily go after and try to be Indiana. And I knew I was on to something when John then said, because then he read the text on the air, and John was like, well, he's actually right. If you're not going to try to win, what are you doing? I'm like, under Cookies, just be happy being little brother, being 8-4, and don't settle, don't thrive for anything else. And that's cute. And I'm like, if that's the case, then Pat Fitzgerald can pack his bags, go back to Chicago, and just, as you would like to say, Mike, just burn the whole thing down.
All right, so then maybe the way to phrase this is the following. In today's college football, not yesterday's, and not tomorrow's, just where we stand today, what are Spartan fans allowed to strive for? What are the guardrails? Because I'm just of the belief, and you guys know this, it's prestige worldwide. It's boats and hoes. If you have the money, it gives you a chance. And if you don't have the money, you have no chance. Mm-hmm. The money doesn't guarantee anything. So let's save that phone call. But if you have the money.
Yeah, look at Miami.
Once again, though.
I'm just saying, I can hear that now. Miami spent money. Yeah.
Right. And they also have an idiot who coaches their team. Mario Cristobal's terrible. The point I'm making is if you don't spend the money, you're dead. Can Spartan fans look? Think about it this way. Pat Fitzgerald got on the podium yesterday and talked about winning championships. Mm-hmm. Do Spartan fans have a right to say that? Yes, because here's where I laugh at what Jim said. Basically, he's saying Spartan fans can't hope to be the fourth best team in the Big Ten. Big Ten's going to get 4 teams most years. Now, this year, the Big Ten was poop. Mm-hmm. This Big Ten was awful. But most years, 4th place gets you in, right?
Right.
Okay. If you can't have those hopes, why do you have a program?
Exactly.
If tomorrow, Purdue had a mystery astronaut benefactor who wanted to bring Purdue back to its glory, they exhume the body of Joe Tiller, and they stuff a helmet on Drew Brees. Mm-hmm. Purdue would have every right to believe they could be a playoff team.
Exactly.
So I would like to know from people, and hell, if you're a Michigan fan, let's party. Tell me what MSU's allowed to strive for. Let's have some fun for a second, because maybe I'm a babe in the woods.
No, because for everybody who tells me, well, what Indiana did is unrealistic. except for I'm watching it happen in real time. Indiana football was never, let me say this for the people in the back, never a powerhouse in football in the Big Ten.
Take Indiana out of it. How about this? This will be a better discussion if you take Indiana out. Okay. Because Indiana triggers people. And while, no, I don't expect Pat Fitzgerald to walk in and make the playoff next year. No. Use Texas Tech.
Okay.
Texas Tech simply got together and said, we're going to outspend.
Right.
And we're going to get where we need to go. And they bought a $7 million defensive line. They're going to win the Big 12. They're 2 touchdown favorites over BYU. They're going to the playoff. Why can't you be Texas Tech? Like, just answer the question. Like, look, we're living in a time last night. This year's Bryce Underwood, the number 1 quarterback in America, decommitted from Georgia to play for Vanderbilt. If that's not a sign of the times, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you're not allowed. Vandy shouldn't have hopes and dreams. Just you're Vandy. And, just be 7-5 and be happy with that. I just thought that was the most condescending thing he has ever said. It was like, and he believed it. Like, no, I do.
What Jim is saying is win 8 games a year and every 3 or 4 years cycle up and maybe hope to make the playoff. I don't think that is good enough. No. I don't think anyone would be happy with that. And as long as there are no rules, and if State is going to put the money into the program, look, if they don't put the money into the program, yes, be happy being Iowa. But by all accounts, the money is flying into the program. Well, then what's the money for? It has to result in winning things of substance. Let's flip it this way. If you agree with what Costa said, then you agree with how Brad Holmes is building the Lions, just to be consistently good. You don't want to pursue championships.
I don't have the drop board over here, but that was worthy of a cheer drop right there.
I mean, that's really what you're signing on for.
No, you are.
Am I right?
The consistency of good. Never great, just good.
David, why don't you tell us?
Stay relevant.
As our big brother, why don't you tell us? What is it, Team Cookies or Team Rico? Is the ceiling the roof, as Michael Jordan would say, Jim Costa, or is Rico saying shoot for the stars?
No, you should be able to shoot for the stars. Michigan State, you can correct me if I'm wrong, when it was much harder to get into the playoff, 14 playoff, Michigan State was one of, I believe, 3 Big Ten schools to represent the Big Ten. You had Ohio State and you had Michigan. So I think with that tells you, yes, you can do this. If you invest what you need to invest in the program, they can be that again.
Yeah. And
nothing wrong with striving for that.
And I cited that, and he was like, no, just be consistent. Be Iowa. You get 4 wins. You go to bowl games. I was like, what? This isn't football 30 years ago. No. At this point, you're trying to make the playoffs. And if you are not making the playoffs, then you've made a poor decision as a coach and as a university, because that's the goal now, to be one of the 12 teams. It's why you're seeing the Miamis and the Notre Dames and all of these teams getting angry because they feel like they're being cheated and being left out because they realize it's all about being in the playoffs. And if you don't make the playoffs, sorry to all the chambers of commerce out there.
Sure.
No one really cares about your bowl games.
Now I will tell you, I miss that there were levels of happiness. In the old college football, pre-COVID, there were levels of happiness.
New Year's Day Bowl.
Hey, these are the bowl rankings. Bowls in certain locales were better, more respected. There was something.
If you could make it to a Florida Bowl.
Like there was something about the logo that, yes, it was invariably better to go to the Peach Bowl in the New Year's Six than it was to go to the Outback Bowl. But there were levels. Hey, we had an 8-win year and beat our rival. We didn't get the ultimate prize, but this is good. What's happened now, and this is a conversation for Michigan fan as well. In the old days, a 9-3 season with a freshman QB would be celebrated. Right now, half these people want to get rid of their coach. Because if you don't make the playoff, what did you even bother doing? So this is kind of the new era where I do miss the old way. Like if you told me State was going to have a floor of 8 wins a year and every couple of years be good, the old days, I would have said, I'll take it. I'll take it because you're relevant, you're in the mix. I can get to November, maybe with an outside shot of conference championship, and then I falter. But now I can't accept that because of, Rico, you and I both know there's going to be what? 40, 50, 60 new players at MSU next year? Mm-hmm. I'll have to learn it all over again.
We'll do the quiz all over again.
The old days, you were willing to tolerate a 2012 because you had played for the Big Ten Championship in 11. You needed to find a quarterback in 2012. They never settled on it. Maxwell was terrible, but you were developing guys. You saw the defense in 12 that would lead you in 13.
Right.
The Max Bullas and the Isaiah Lewises and the rest.
You stumbled into a quarterback because everybody got hurt.
There's the other key. You just nailed this. Tony Lippett wouldn't exist today. Jeremy Langford wouldn't exist. They'd leave. So that's where Cookie's opinion is so flawed. But to me, look, I don't care about the Indiana thing. If you want to say Indiana is unattainable, I actually agree with you. Meaning, if you hope to be that, that's fine. If you expect it, that's not fine.
Right.
But to tell State fans they should not aspire to be more than Iowa, i.e., if we're rebuilding our stadium and if we're pumping tens of millions into NIL, guys, then what are you playing for? 248-539-9797. It's Team Rico or Team Cookies.